The Indiana Fever dominated the Minnesota Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup game to take the championship home. Natasha Howard won the MVP. Shout out to Flash. I'm talking about this was a game that really boosted the team morale. This showed that they could win moving forward without Caitlin Clark. They can allow Caitlin to heal. Caitlin do not have to rush back like she did the first time when things looked like it was about to derail. So shout out to the Indiana Fever for mucking it up today. Shout out to Stephanie White for throwing KK out there, allowing her to develop, allowing Natasha Howard to do her thing. You know, Aaliyah Boston had a little off game. Kelsey Mitchell had an off game. This is why I'm saying there's so much upside in this game. Before we dive into the film, I just want to talk about that. Aaliyah Boston, you're telling me in a game against the Minnesota Lynx, who's looking like the best team in the league right now, in a game against them, Aaliyah Boston can go 5 for 15. Kelsey Mitchell can go 6 for 16. You telling me Natasha Howard could go 4 for 10? Lexi Ho only played 15 minutes? Sydney Coulson goes 1 for 6, but the Indiana Fever still win? Something don't add up. Something is not adding up. This is what I'm saying. The Indiana Fever have a lot of blue-collar girls who can muck it up. You can tell the Minnesota Lynx are not used to physicality. We really came in and made a statement. Even when the Minnesota Lynx went on a run, Stephanie White, instant timeout, got the girls riled up. Aaliyah Boston was mic'd up as well, telling the girls get their head back in the game. Oh, I loved everything about this game. The Indiana Fever got outscored in the first quarter, right? And on the road against a team like against the Minnesota Lynx, you don't think that they'd give this lead back up, but they didn't. The Indiana Fever fought and clawed their way back. That's why I want to give a shout out to the Indiana Fever. So before we jump to the film, hit the like button and let's jump into the stats real quick, okay? 12 points to 20 points in the first quarter. The Lynx outscored them by 8. The Indiana Fever pull a reverse Uno and scored 20-7 in the following quarter. Shout out to the Indiana Fever, bro. The last, I want to say 7 to 8 minutes of the second quarter, the Minnesota Lynx did not score a single point. I'm going to say it again. The last 7 to 8 minutes of the second quarter, the Lynx did not score 1 point. Holding a team like this scoreless for 8 straight minutes is crazy. The Indian Fever's defense, the Fever's defense was insane. It was, listen, we could talk about it all night, but we're not here for that right now. We're here for the film, okay? So let's jump straight into the film. So clearly, Natasha Howard played a perfect two-way game this game. She made Fee settle on tough jumpers. She was playing great on the offensive end. As you see right here, Fee had to settle for a shot. Look. She's trying to post up Natasha Howard, realizes Natasha is not going. She's not giving her too much real estate. She's going to have to work hard to get to the paint. And Natasha Howard's still there, makes her settle, and she meets her at the apex for a feed break. You know what I'm saying? That's great defense by Natasha Howard. Once again, she bumps her the first time right here. Look, bumps her right there, tries to bump her harder. Boom, Natasha's not going. Feed settles for the fade, and it was way off. It didn't even go over the rim. You know what I'm saying? Great defense by Natasha Howard. Now listen, the next clip. Don't get me wrong. Natasha Howard started this game as the worst player on the court, okay? She dominated the rest of the way, though, which is why I'm not going to criticize her too much. Natasha went from missing wide-open layups like we about to see right now, and then she ended up being a Cup MVP. Look at this. Wide open, Aaliyah Boston setting a reverse Gortat screen with her back turned to feed. If y'all don't know what a Gortat screen is, kind of like just a paint, a screen in the paint, so your teammate could score, drive into the paint, right? So Aaliyah setting a Gortat screen on Natasha Howard, right? Flash is just like she just missed the open layup. When I watched this live, if you go back and look at my live reaction, I was like, Natasha, what are we doing? Please don't tell me in a Cup game you come in to bring this kind of energy. But like, look, a wide open layup, no contest, nothing. She missed that, right? So I was like, okay, but she ended up being a Cup MVP. Now let's move on, okay? After going 0 for 5 in the first quarter, Natasha Howard got herself to the line, which opened up her game in the second half. She reminded me of Jimmy Butler on the Warriors. Right here, look at Natasha Howard driving, drawing a foul. And you see this happen for all my NBA fans. Y'all see it happen a lot with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, even if his game is going or not, he's just a vet. He knows how to get to the line. He knows how to put points on the board for his team. He's going to draw the constant foul. Natasha Howard was kind of unguardable going to the rim. She might not be the best shooter, but she's definitely good at it, putting pressure on the rim. So with that being said, defenses kind of tend to foul her on the way to the rim. And Natasha Howard being a vet, she can draw fouls. She shot, I want to say 8 for 8 or 6 for 6 in the second quarter from 3, which was insane. But just getting to the line in general is just what we need. You know what I'm saying? Now, as you see right here, we about to get to the next clip with Kelsey Mitchell, all right? Now, on the foul, let's talk about Sydney Coulson when she checked in, okay? Sydney Coulson checked in while the Lynx were on a 13-0 run. Sydney Coulson checked in while the Lynx were on a 13-0 run, and she hit a 3 to put the Fever down 6 after being down 9. Pay attention to the score, okay? It's 9-18 right now. It's 9-18 if you could see. It was literally 6-9. We were up 9-6. So the minute from that point on, the Minnesota Lynx scored 13 straight points. Kelsey Mitchell drives. Aaliyah Boston is rolling. Now, right here, Natasha Howard and Courtney Williams has to pick up on Aaliyah Boston. And Fee herself ended up dropping down to pick up Aaliyah Boston as well. What does that mean? There's 3 jerseys surrounding Aaliyah Boston. If Kelsey was on the 3-point line, that would be an open kick out to Kelsey. But Kelsey didn't relocate fast enough. That's what film is for. She'll learn how to do that. Sydney Coulson, on the other hand, is already spaced out on the right wing. Aaliyah finds her, and Sydney Coulson splashes a 3 down. Hey. This is my blue-collar girl, Sydney Coulson. I love how she just literally knows. Am I losing my voice? Before I lost my voice, before I was rudely interrupted, I guess my vernacular is too spectacular. Like I was saying, Sydney Coulson was relocating onto the right wing. She just has court awareness. And if you think that's enough, Sydney Coulson on the following play, just after checking in, she turned a 9-point deficit into a 6-point deficit. On the following play, Sydney Coulson right here, realizing Courtney Williams is either driving or going to set a DHO with Natasha Howard, right? Sydney Coulson, as you see, she see man and see ball. And that's a basketball term for those who don't know. They say, the coaches always tell you, see man, see ball, meaning see your defender and see the basketball at once. Make sure you're somewhere or angled at the court where you can watch the basketball and watch your defender at the same exact time. So you see Sydney Coulson watching through the corner of her eyes the basketball, but she still has the left corner of her eye on Natasha Howard for the back door, right? So right here, having that advantage, having that awareness, Courtney Williams tried to initiate a regular DHO, but Sydney Coulson's like, I gotcha. Now I'm going to jump this screen, and you're going to either have to set a hard screen or you're going to have to let go of the ball, and I'm going to have a fast break steal, right? So right here, Courtney sets it and gets a foul. And Sydney Coulson is over here. And you know what's my favorite part about this play? Sydney Coulson was trash talking a little bit. They was like, come on, ref. That was not a foul. That's not a foul. Pay attention to Sydney Coulson twirling her fingers. She's telling her, okay, it's not a foul. Go challenge it. Look at Sydney Coulson right here. This is one of my favorite clips. Look at her. Just look at her. You see her little finger right here just swirling. Go ahead, challenge it. Waste the challenge. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I love Sydney. Anyway, let's talk about Sophie Cunningham real quick. You see her in the left corner being guarded by Natasha Howard, okay? Sophie popped off with a perfect 7 points in the 4th quarter, by the way. 7 points in the 4th quarter, not missing a single shot. Starting here, right here, she blew by Natasha Howard. Sydney Coulson drives a little bit. Has nothing. Feeds Sophie in the corner. Sophie just attacks the closeout instantly for 2. Come on, Sophie.
Spicy Sophie.
Gotta love her. Like, how can't you love Sophie Cunningham? Immediately recognizing, okay, we ain't got nothing. We already exhausted the shot clock so many times, which we'll go over in a film breakdown tomorrow, the full film breakdown. But we exhausted a lot of shot clocks tonight. But Sophie Cunningham recognizing, okay, we're not going to keep doing this. In the 4th quarter, it's go time. Minnesota Lynx is on a run. Ref starting to give them the whistle. Let me take matters into my own hands. Soon as she caught the ball, immediately attacked the closeout. Now, Natasha Howard is grabbing her arm. But the referee just doesn't want to call this, right? Number 5 is looking, and this referee is looking. But apparently, it's only a foul if it's the fever, right? If you're wearing a fever jersey, I guess. But anyways, Sophie attacks the closeout and goes up for 2. Beautiful play. I love Sophie Cunningham's court awareness as well. Now, anyways, while the Lynx were creeping back in and you need a reliable source, guess what? Sophie is that, especially on the perimeter. It's nice to know you got Sophie Cunningham on your team. Kelsey Mitchell with the ball, one screen with Aaliyah. You know what I'm saying? Now it's a mismatch being created. You have numbers. Kelsey drives again, forces her to commit to Kelsey. Wide open pass to Sophie for 3 again.
Spicy Sophie.
Like, bro. You gotta love the way we played tonight. The ball was fluid, although, you know what I'm saying, the little stagnated plays where we had the shot clock violation and stuff like that. The Indiana Fever got it back together and was able to right the ship. That's what's important tonight. It's not the fact that we just had a slow start. It's the fact that we got it back together. And not only that we got it together against one of the best teams in the league. Like, that's actually crazy. To do that against one of the best teams in the league is actually crazy. But anyways, let's talk about Aaliyah Boston real quick, okay? Coming into the 4th quarter, Aaliyah Boston was shooting a poor 2 for 10 from the field. But Aaliyah Boston showed up when it mattered most. You see Aaliyah Boston right here, and I'm not gonna lie, Aaliyah Boston right here, pay attention to how she's constantly relocating because her teammates just don't see her. A big reason for why her averages drop when Caitlin Clark is not playing is because of not only how much the floor shrinks on Aaliyah Boston, but because of how much energy she be wasting trying to reposition herself and trying to avoid the 3 seconds as well. You see Aaliyah got her right hand up, right? Calling for the ball. She calling for it again. Now she's in the post again, calling for it again. She has the seal off. The defender's fronting her. But if you are able to get this ball over this defender's hand and Aaliyah catches it right here, it's an instant layup. The defender will have to jump on Aaliyah's back to stop it, and that will be a foul or and one, right? Now listen, one more time. Aaliyah Boston repositions again. Now she finally gets it and goes up for two.
Bow, bow, bow.
How much energy was Aaliyah Boston just exhausting on this one play alone, just trying to get open? Just look at how many times she relocated. Right here alone. She was calling for it once the clip started. Her hand was up. Clearly means she got missed, right? So she's like, okay, I'm going to relocate to the left side, right? The left block. But Natasha drives. She relocates again. No pass. She locates again, and then the pass comes. That's about 3 to 4 relocations in one play. That will wear on you over the course of 4 quarters, which is why Aaliyah Boston's numbers jump when Caitlin's on the floor. All it takes is one time Aaliyah Boston calls for it, and Caitlin gets it to her. Last year, Caitlin had a lot of turnovers because as soon as Aaliyah called for it, Caitlin would throw it, and Aaliyah wouldn't have the defender sealed off. This year, Aaliyah Boston worked on sealing off the defender, so now she wants to reap the rewards for it, and I want y'all to reward that girl for working in the offseason on the seal. Like, just reward her for it. Like, I hope Stephanie White talks about this in the film or the coaching staff. This is something they gotta see. But anyways, that's for another day. Let's talk about this, okay? Fee got a taste of KK's physicality tonight. Michaela Timson touched the floor, okay? And it's only gonna get better as well. But she went against the MVP favorite, Natasha Howard, and she was getting through to her mentally, and that's gonna wear and tear down on a player throughout the game. But look at Fee realizing KK ain't no pushover as she worked hard for this 2 on the rookie. Look at it. So you see Fee try to initiate the contact by wrapping herself in KK's arms, right? Cool. KK is not going. KK is fighting. Now they're both leaning back. Lean back. Now they both leaning back, right? On the right block. Fee, she scores on KK. But do you see how much she had to exhaust her resources, her energy just to get this off? She thought at first it was gonna be a little rookie pushover. Nah, KK ain't going. KK's there. Made a pump fake. And Fee, nobody can stop Fee. But the best thing you can do is try to slow her down. And KK definitely did a good job of doing that in the little time she was on the court. But anyways, let's talk about KK one more time. This may be garbage time, but I just want y'all to look at the length on Michaela Timson on this block right here. Look at KK. She missed. KK tried to get that. She spins. Tries to go on the right side. KK swats it away. This is why I love Michaela Timson. I want her to really develop more and more. I hope Stephanie White gives her a longer leash on the floor, because once she's comfortable, she'll be able to be aggressive on offense as well, and that'll unlock Temi 2.0. But anyways, let's check the Fever checklist and hand out some awards. All right, so we got 70 field goal attempts as the first one. The Indiana Fever failed this one by only 7 shots, so not too bad, especially in a game where Caitlin Clark is out. The Indiana Fever are averaging, I think, around 58 shots per game without Caitlin Clark on the floor, so this is definitely not bad. They was getting shots up. The Minnesota Lynx tied them with field goal attempted, but I'm living with that when you're going against a healthy, stacked Minnesota Lynx team that just came off the finals run. Anyways, that brings us to number 2, 20 team assists. The Indiana Fever had 20 team assists on a dot, so we literally had 20 team assists and held the Minnesota Lynx to 13. And the Minnesota Lynx coming into this game were number 1 on assisting, 3-point shooting, and field goal percentage. So they were number 1 in 3-point percentage. They were number 1 in field goal percentage. They were number 1 in assists. And we dominated them in all 3 categories today, which is a great sign considering we're missing the C22. And that brings us to our third one, under 13 team turnovers. We failed that one by 1. You notice, like I said, if we fail something or we come close to it, that you could kind of give that a little nudge or a green check. We had 14 turnovers, which is not too far off, under 13 turnovers. But we did turn the Minnesota Lynx over 16 times, so that plays a part of it as well. And then you got the big 3 combined. 15 fast break points. The Indiana Fever didn't have 15 fast break points. We had 7, but when you look at how many points off turnover we had, 13, it kind of live with it, but you want to limit the Minnesota Lynx's points off turnovers as well, because they had 17 to our 13. And then that brings us to big 3 combining for 60. We did not combine for 60. Aerie had 12. I replaced Aerie with Caitlin Clark when as far as the big 3 goes. So Aerie had 12. Kelsey had 12 and Aaliyah had 12. Let's call them the 12 sisters. They had combined for 36 points. So that's definitely not going to get the job done. But when you have Natasha Howard coming out, and that brings us to our MVP, Natasha Howard. 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists. Natasha Howard is a dog. I'm telling y'all, she gave the same effort that we saw in that Dallas Wings game, and I just want that same Natasha night in and night out. That's what it's gonna take to become a champion. I'm telling y'all right now, Natasha Howard has to bring this effort if we even want to smell a second round to the finals, you know. And that brings us to 12 rebounds, 4 assists as well for Natasha Howard. She was just doing everything. 12 rebounds, like she's making this look normal. Natasha Howard is giving me Jimmy Butler / Josh Hart vibes, just getting double doubles on a regular. Like she's just doing it all right. She's just doing it all right now. Anyways, that brings us to our X Factor, who's also spicy.
Spicy Sophie.
Sophie Cunningham. Words can't describe what Sophie Cunningham means to this team. Also, along with Lexi Hall, who had limited opportunity today. I was questioning that, but not in the second quarter because we were on a run, and I guess Stephanie White didn't want to interrupt that, recognizing her human element. I'm definitely going to salute her for that because y'all know how big I am on a human element. But anyway, Sophie Cunningham with 13 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 3-pointers made, and more of her shots came during big moments. Shout out to Sophie Cunningham. Sophie did her job. Shout out to Sophie Cunningham. And if you missed the live watch party, I wish you in the next one. We're going to be live versus the Aces. Make sure you hit the like button. If you enjoyed this film breakdown, hit the sub button, or the post-game breakdown, I should say. This is not really a full film breakdown. But 24,220 subs. 80 subs to get us to 24.3. Let's see if 80 of y'all can hit that sub button. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow in that film video. I love y'all so much. Make sure y'all enjoy y'all night. Take the night and just, enjoy yourself. We got to win. Commissioner Cup. The Indiana Fever back on top, baby. Let's go.